This is Robert Skjødt at Archer Energy. He holds 3 presentations on the contract negotiations with the Turbine Manufacturer Conference. Could you please, Robert, first describe your background in the wind industry?
Well, I spent almost 20 years in the power generation industry, having done conventional power plants and now wind turbine power plants the last 10 years basically. I've been through the whole value chain, meaning supply, operation, installation, financing, operation, maintenance, ownership, as well as actually trading the electricity. So it's been a full supply chain. And then now I have made my own consultancy company where I'm being a consultant, industrial advisor, etc. for equity funds buying into the wind industry and then helping financial institutions, etc.
How much have you negotiated within wind power that has actually been built?
Well, that's actually on the other side of 500 megawatts that's been actually built, and then the trading volume of already existing wind farms have been much higher. And then on the power plant side is in the range of 1,300 megawatts approximately.
Okay, thanks. In our program we follow more or less the same process as an owner buying wind turbines following. And you have the first presentation where you speak about how should the owner design their demands and specifications to the turbine manufacturers. What's the most difficult issues within this for the owner?
Well, I think that the most important point is to make sure that the manufacturer has the information he needs to make the right solution. So I think that one of the most important points is to make sure that they are getting everything they need, both from wind, raw data, etc., soil conditions, grid codes, whatever they need. I think the most important point is to get the manufacturer to acknowledge that he knows what he's doing. If you build more than 3,000 wind turbines around the world, there should not be any issue where they're saying, well, we haven't tried this before. So the most important thing is to make sure they have all the information they need.
Okay. Secondly, you speak about how to build your TSA. Well, normally it's the manufacturer who gives you a TSA. How would it be possible for the owner to build their own TSA?
Well, it's basically a matter of saying, well, we are working with a contract standard that's our own. It's a matter of telling the manufacturers that we do not have time to go through different contract standards when we're getting 3 bids and then having to look at 3 standards. We have one way of working. It's a way of that's balancing. We are basing it upon known standards, etc. And that's a perfectly reasonable explanation, and I can tell you that the manufacturers have seen that many times before.
Well, we have one owner in Sweden who are doing this, and they have had a little bit difficulties to reach to the manufacturers to get the approval for that. What's your view on how successful has the owners been more internationally on building their own TSA and getting the turbine manufacturers to follow on this?
Well, the rate of success basically follows how the market is behaving. If it's let's call it a buyer's market, it's much easier to get them to accept it. If it's a seller's market, it's of course more difficult. We're getting into a buyer's market now, so it's much more easy now than it was 2 years ago.
What would you say within the TSA, where should the owner, well, of course it's different from case to case, but where should the owner choose their battles?
I think the important thing is, of course, the performance of the turbine, it's the delivery schedule, but it's also getting the documentation you need to be able to operate the turbine if at a certain point you don't have the manufacturer as your service provider. So it's a matter of making sure that you know what you're getting and that it's working according to what you have been promised. I think those are the key issues.
So what's your advice to the owner who has problem to get the documentation?
Get it in early, already in the stage of the tendering. Tell them up front what is the kind of information that you want so that you take the discussion early and not when it's already after a signed contract.
Okay, then your last presentation is how to evaluate and balance risk between owner and turbine manufacturers. In my research for this conference, I believe that the most experienced persons that I interviewed, they found this one the most interesting one. Could you just describe the difficulties in this one?
Well, it's a matter of making sure that the ones who can control the risks are the ones having the risks. That's sort of the key issue. When we say balance of risk, it does not mean that everything should be fair and equal. Obviously, everyone on each side is trying to get the optimization of your position, and it's the same here. you as a developer or owner should try to get the best deal possible. I mean, you get what you negotiate. You don't get what you deserve. But I think it's really a matter of always making sure that if the manufacturer can control the risk should be with him.